As the NFL Network's Rich Eisen likes to say, punters are people too. But they just propose better than most. Okay, maybe that's reading too much into one such punter's proposal, which was pulled off quite well at Ohio State's annual spring game on Saturday. At the center of it all was budding Buckeye cult hero Drue Chrisman. Under the guise of a halftime kicking contest, the redshirt junior was already down on one knee pretending to be the holder for his girlfriend Avery Eliason. While for a second it looked like he was going to pull a Lucy Charlie Brown move, instead he very smoothly went for the ring and got the most pressure-packed part of the whole thing done when she, of course, said yes. "I couldn't think of a better place to do it than in Ohio Stadium, with the history behind the stadium," Chrisman said, according to the Columbus Dispatch. "To be able to do that was just a privilege." The Cincinnati native is coming off one of his best seasons at OSU, but something says 2019 will be hard to top no matter what after the festivities at the Horseshoe on Saturday. Nick Saban normally guards injury information like a state secret around the Alabama program, but with spring football in the books following Saturday's annual 8-day game, the veteran head coach finally divulged one person's status prior to a trip to the disabled list, his own. "You know, I've been struggling a little bit with one of my hips," Saban said at his press conference, according to all.com. "So, even though they don't make them like they used to and most players would not be able to perform in spring practice like I did if they had a similar situation. Nobody could even tell, but I might not be able to play golf for a few weeks and we're going to do an evaluation of this at the end of spring. They say, even if it's the worst case scenario, it might be 6 or 8 weeks. I want to coach for a lot of more years. So, whenever things like this come up, I want to be aggressive and proactive to get it taken care of. We'll certainly do that and we have really good people to do it and I don't think it should be a big deal." Saban was very much in a joking manner with regards to his injury, even if it keeps him off the links for a few weeks this summer. Given the way that his quarterbacks played at a day, that's probably not a great thing for those around him, as there will surely be nothing more to do than watch film between now and June. 5 players threw passes during Alabama's 8-day game on Saturday, and 4 of them were intercepted. The only one who wasn't? Redshirt freshman Slade Bolden, who plays wide receiver. All 4 of the Tide's quarterbacks were picked off throughout the course of the scrimmage, including Tua Tagovailoa. He was 19 of 37 for 265 yards with a touchdown and a pick, as his crimson side fell to the white 31-17. His scoring strike came on a 54-yard toss to Jerry Jeudy with 2:10 left to play, nudging the Whites' deficit from 3 to 2 touchdowns. Still, those 2 will be just fine, despite the loss. The real competition was to see who will be his backup, a battle waged between sophomore Mac Jones and true freshman Tua Tagovailoa. Both players played for the white team, leading the second-team offense against the second-team defense. Jones was 19 of 23 for 271 yards with 2 touchdowns and a pick, while the younger Tagovailoa was 6 of 9 for 93 yards with a score and a pick. Fourth-stringer Paul Tyson was 1 of 5 for 8 yards with a 30-yard pick-6 to linebacker Jalen Moody. In addition to the 4 picks, the Alabama quarterbacks were credited with taking a combined 12 sacks. Junior Brian Robinson, Jr. led the Tide's ground efforts with 42 yards on 11 carries, while sophomore wide receiver Chadarius Townsend carried 4 times for 30 yards and junior running back Najee Harris carried 9 times for 23 yards and a touchdown. Robinson also caught 6 passes for 52 yards. Freshman John Mechie hauled in 5 passes for a game-high 133 yards, while Jeudy snared 5 balls for 104 yards and a touchdown, and junior Devonta Smith caught 6 passes for 95 yards. Freshman linebacker Shane Lee led all defenders with 8 tackles. Lee joined senior defensive back Trevon Diggs, pictured right, sophomore defensive back Eddie Smith and Moody in snatching interceptions. 9 different players combined to create Alabama's 12 sacks. Sophomore defensive lineman Fidarian Mathis, sophomore linebacker Christopher Allen and freshman defensive lineman Antonio Alfano each registered 2. Alabama opens its 2019 campaign opposite Duke August 31st in Atlanta. Friday was a great day for Utah football, and not because the Utes held their annual red-white game. The program announced a record gift of $17.5 million to fund a planned renovation and expansion of Rice-Eccles Stadium. The donation comes from the family of Ken Garff, a Utes donor who opened his first car dealership in 1932 and whose family now owns 50 luxury dealerships nationwide, ranking among the top 10 nationally. Ken Garff died in 1997. The success of our student-athletes and our department relies on the extraordinary generosity of our supporters, and the Garff family has been instrumental in elevating Utah athletics to unimaginable heights. Utah AD Mark Harlan said in a statement, "This transformational commitment from the Garffs will impact thousands of student-athletes, staff, coaches and fans for years to come, and we are forever grateful for their kindness and support of our university." The donation will fund roughly half of the fundraising portion of the project. With the Garff's $17.5 million, donors have now contributed $32 million of the necessary $35 million. The remaining $45 million of the $80 million project will come from various revenue streams accessible to the athletics department. The renovation, announced last November, will update the only untouched portion of Rice-Eccles Stadium, which opened in 1998. The project will enclose the stadium's south end zone, boost capacity from 45,807 to 51,444, install revenue-generating luxury boxes and seating, while also replacing the Utes' locker rooms, coaches' offices, training rooms, meeting spaces and all other types of space necessary to run a modern football program. Construction will begin after the Utes' final 2020 home game and is slated to be complete in time for the following season. A second-half shutout allowed the Gold to race past the Blue for a thrilling 58-45 win at Notre Dame's Blue-Gold game on Saturday. If you're wondering how a defensive struggle could see a 58-45 final score, well, welcome to the world of spring games. Notre Dame's defense was credited with 15 sacks on the day and closed the game by limiting the offense to 3 3-and-outs and 3 stops after the halftime gun, which somehow equated to 27 points for the Gold squad. Despite the second-half shutout leading to a devastating loss, Notre Dame's offense still produced before Saturday's crowd of 30,000+. Ian Book was 16 of 21 for 220 yards with a touchdown and no interceptions. Jafar Armstrong was the Blues' star of the game, rushing for 85 yards and a touchdown while compiling 71 receiving yards and another score, though he did have a costly fumble, forced by the Gold's Jalen Elliott, while Jameer Smith rushed for 56 yards and 2 touchdowns. Chase Claypool caught 4 passes for 92 yards to lead all receivers. On defense, Khalid Kareem led the bunch with 3 sacks, while Paul Moala added 2 sacks and a team-high 9 tackles. Notre Dame announced kick times for its 7-game home slate in 2019. The Irish's home opener against New Mexico will kick at 2:30 p.m. ET on Sept. 14 Virginia, Sept. 28, and Bowling Green, October 5 kick at 3:30 p.m. Eastern Time, while USC, October 12, is a 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time kick. Home dates against Virginia Tech in November. 2. Navy, in November 16, and Boston College, in November 23, all begin at 2:30 p.m. Each all 7 games will be televised on NBC.